In this video, we'll show you 11 ways that you can increase your long runs without getting injured. These are 11 things that have helped me go from no running whatsoever to a sub 19-minute 5K in under 10 months. And stick around until the end because there is one tip that's actually a little bit similar to what you need when you're planting a garden. Hi, it's Ryan from Unstoppable, where we help you run smarter, faster and injury-free no matter where you're starting. As you set out on your long run, it is crucial to start at the right pace. This is why the long run is a low-intensity conversational pace. You're not out there to race, you're there to build endurance. You should be able to chat with a friend or even talk with yourself without gasping for air during this run. You're working hard, but not so hard that you're draining your energy reserves too quickly. This pace that we're describing here usually falls around the zone 2, which is around 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. It's slow enough to be sustainable for a long time, but it's still effective enough to help you build the endurance that you're going to need as a runner. Starting too fast is like sprinting at the beginning of a marathon. You'll tire quickly, you'll have to slow down, and you'll be defeating the purpose of a long run. By keeping it slow and steady, you're laying down a foundation that's strong and resilient, preparing your body for the demands of longer distances. As you become more comfortable with your long runs, the temptation might be to push yourself further, faster. The key to increasing your long run distance is to do it gradually. The 10% rule is your guide here. Increase your long run distance by no more than 10% each week. This might seem like a small incremental change, but it's this steady, controlled growth that allows your body to adapt safely. Rushing this process might seem tempting, especially if you're feeling strong, but it's a sure path to injury or burnout. Think of it a little bit like building a house. If you try to add too many bricks at once, the foundations are going to crack. But if you place them carefully, one layer at a time, you create something that is strong and also enduring. Consistency is key in this process. By gradually extending your long run, you're giving your body the best possible chance to adapt and also grow stronger. Each week, as you add more distance, you're expanding your endurance one step at a time. And before you know it, what once seemed like an impossibly long run will become just another part of your routine. As you begin to stretch your long runs further and further, it's not just your cardiovascular system that needs to keep up. Your muscles, tendons and ligaments must be ready for this challenge as well. This is where strength training comes in. By focusing on strength training, particularly for your lower body and your core, you're building muscular endurance and strength that will support you during those extended longer runs. Think of your legs as the engine that drives your running. Stronger quads, hamstrings, glutes and calves mean that you can keep going for longer without getting tired as quickly. Your core also plays a crucial role in maintaining proper form and also reducing fatigue as those miles start to add up. Strength training also is your best defense against injury. When you strengthen your muscles, tendons and ligaments, you're protecting the areas most prone to overuse injuries as you start to increase your mileage. It's a little bit like adding reinforcements to a bridge. With stronger supports, it's less likely to collapse under heavy loads. Regular strength training in your routine prepares you for your longer runs. As your long runs start to stretch beyond the 60 to 90-minute mark, your body's energy demands shift and fueling becomes more important. During your long runs, you need to start thinking about how to keep your energy levels steady. This means carrying gels or energy chews or even a handful of sweets to top up those glycogen stores and prevent fatigue from setting in. Hydration also becomes more critical as the miles start to pile up, especially in hot or humid conditions. Dehydration can sneak up on you, causing a dip in performance and also increasing the risk of cramps and other issues as well. Carrying water or an electrolyte drink becomes non-negotiable on these longer journeys, but fueling isn't just something that you do during your run. It starts before you even lace up your shoes and continues long after you've crossed your finish line. Your pre-run nutrition sets the stage for a successful run, ensuring that your glycogen stores are full and your body is ready to go the distance. So here, focus on carbs as this is your main source of energy. Things like bananas, oats or a slice of toast can be great before heading out for your run. Now after the run, it's all about recovery. The right post-run meal helps replenish those depleted energy reserves and repairs any muscle damage that you might have incurred, setting you up for your next workout. So here, focus on carbs and protein. Things like sweet potato, rice, pasta, animal proteins, fish, they're all going to help you to recover quickly here. What you do before, during and after your run all contributes to your ability to tackle those long distances effectively. Now long runs can be daunting, especially as the distances start to increase, but you can turn them into an adventure rather than a chore. And this is where your route planning comes into play. Choosing varied and interesting routes can keep you engaged and also motivated. Maybe it's a scenic trail that you've never explored before, or a loop course that allows you to drink water and eat snacks at regular intervals. Little changes can make the world of difference, breaking the monotony and keeping your mind as fresh as your legs. Running with a friend can also transform your long run into a social event rather than a solitary slog too. The miles can very quickly pass when you're deep in conversation. Now if running partners aren't available, music or podcasts can be your companions as well. This is what I do and I absolutely love it. It's all about making your long run something that you look forward to to rather than this daunting, challenging task. Running long distances is a test of your endurance, but it's also a practice in listening to the subtle signals that your body is sending you. As you start doing longer runs, pay close attention to how you feel. If you start to notice discomfort or pain that goes beyond the usual fatigue, it's probably a sign that your body is telling you to take it a little bit easier. You're not giving up here, you're just being smart. Now this might be a sign that you're doing too many miles too quickly, or you're running them too fast. Imagine that you're a pilot. If the warning lights start flashing, you don't just ignore them and push forward, right? You take the necessary steps to prevent a bigger problem, right? And it is exactly the same with your run training. You need to be adaptable. There's no shame in cutting a run short if it means preventing an injury that could sideline you for weeks. Respect the demands that you're placing on your body, even if the pace is slow and steady. Long runs, even though they're low in intensity, still place a lot of stress on your muscles, joints and tendons. And when we're running, we're placing 2 to 3 times our body weight through each limb with every single step, which is pretty crazy, right? So recognizing when you need to slow down or even stop, it's a skill that will keep you running long term. As you progress in your training, it is easy to get caught up in the excitement of increasing your mileage week after week. But just as important as pushing forward is knowing when to take a step back, which is where you would have a deload week. This is a crucial element in any successful training plan. If you were climbing a really high mountain like Mount Everest or Kilimanjaro, you wouldn't climb straight to the peak without taking breaks to acclimate and rest, would you? And it's exactly the same with your run training. After about 3 weeks of increasing your run distance, it's essential that you take a deload week, and this is what we do with every single one of our Unstoppable clients. During this deload week, you'll reduce the distance of your long run, giving your body the chance to absorb the hard work that you've done and repair itself a little bit quicker. This deload, it's not a setback, it's a strategic move that allows you to come back stronger and more resilient. Now, I've done deloads before, and I've come back into my first week of hard training and I've been minutes faster, which is insane. It's a little bit like a springboard. By pulling back slightly, you're preparing to leap forward with renewed energy and strength. After your deload week, you'll resume progression, picking up where you left off and continuing to build endurance with a refreshed body and also mind. This cycle of progression and recovery is so important for continuous improvement and avoiding burnout or injury. As your runs get longer, it is natural to feel the cumulative fatigue set in. This is where pacing becomes more of an art than a science. Instead of focusing strictly on numbers like your pace per kilometer or mile, tune into how your body feels. Perceived effort is going to be your best guide here. As you increase your distance, it is completely normal to adjust your pace, easing back to conserve energy for the full duration of that run. The goal is to complete the distance, not to set a personal record every single time. By listening to your perceived effort, you're allowing yourself to be more flexible in managing the run accordingly to how you're feeling on that particular day. Some days you'll feel strong and you'll be able to maintain a steady pace, while other days you'll require a slower, more deliberate approach. Embracing this variability is key to increasing your long runs successfully and also sustainably. As you build up your long runs, there comes a time when you're going to ask yourself, how far is enough? This will depend on your long run distance and the race that you're preparing for. A general rule of thumb is to aim for a long run distance that is around 150 to 200% of your target race distance. Now, this range gives you a clear, practical guide for how much you should push yourself to build the right amount of endurance for you. So if you're training for a 5k race, extending your long run to around 7.5k to 10k is ideal. This extra distance gives you the endurance to handle the 5k with confidence, knowing that you can comfortably exceed the race distance. For a 10k race, your long run might stretch to 15k all the way up to 20k. By the time that you reach the starting line, you'll have the stamina to not only complete the race, but do so with energy to spare. As the distances grow, the principles remain the same. Training for a half marathon might see your long runs reach to 25k all the way up to 32k, while marathon training typically tops out at around 32k to 35k. The 150% mark makes sure that you can comfortably cover the race distance, while pushing towards that 200% end gives you the solid buffer to maintain a strong pace and finish the race confidently. But knowing when to stop isn't just about hitting these numbers, it's also understanding the risks of overtraining. Pushing beyond your goal distance repeatedly can lead to diminishing returns. Instead of gaining more strength or endurance, you may find yourself tired and fatigued with slower recovery times and a higher risk of injury, and also you might notice that you're getting slower and everything feels a little bit harder. It's important that you recognize this, that more isn't always better. So by sticking to the 150 to 200% guideline, you can strike a balance between challenging yourself and allowing your body the time that it needs to adapt and recover, making sure that your progress is sustainable in the long run. In long distance running, patience is key. Increasing your long runs is a process that takes time, often more than we'd like to admit. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of seeing progress and wanting to push further and further and further and faster and faster and faster each week. But real lasting improvement comes from steady steady incremental progress. Your training is a bit like planting a garden. Now bear with me on this one. You can't rush the growth of a tree by pulling on its branches. Instead, you water it consistently, provide it with the right conditions, and over time, it flourishes. This patience extends beyond just the physical aspect of running as well. It's also about your mental approach. As you gradually push your limits, you're not just training your body to handle longer distances, you're also building mental resilience. Each long run is a lesson in discipline and perseverance, teaching you to stay focused and committed even when the journey seems slow. While patience is crucial, so is enjoying the journey. Running longer distances, it's not just about ticking off kilometers. It's about embracing the experience of each run, the sights that you see, the thoughts that you have, and the satisfaction knowing that you're moving closer towards your goal one step at a time. The amount of business problems that I've solved on my long run make it so worthwhile to do that. Celebrate the small victories, like completing a particularly tough long run, or noticing that a distance that once felt impossible, that's now just part of your routine. Consistency and patience are keys to long-term success, whatever you do. The gains that you make from one week to the next, they might seem small, but over time, they will compound into significant improvements as long as you're being consistent with your run training. By keeping your focus on that bigger picture and enjoying the process, you make sure that the journey towards increasing those longer runs, it's not just successful, but it's also fulfilling and rewarding. That's 11 ways that you can increase your long runs. If you want more help like this, click the first link in the description and book a call with somebody from the Unstoppable team so that we can see how we can help you with your running goals. And now that you know how to increase your longer runs, here's how you can get faster without getting tired.